Is killed during a special effects test.
Apparently, a piece of equipment had burst or exploded, and a piece of that equipment broke off and struck a worker.
The man was a 25-year veteran of the film and television industry. Plus,
we have dismantled the financial structure of this organized crime operation, both here and in Italy.
it's the largest organized crime operation York police have ever seen. Project Sindicato seizes $35 million in assets. And remembering Hoden Nalea. Friends and family hold a memorial to the Somali-Canadian journalist killed last week. Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. A crew member working on the Netflix series Titans was killed this morning while preparing for an upcoming shoot here in Toronto. According to Warner Brothers Studios, special effects coordinator Warren Appleby died after an accident at a special effects shop in Etobicoke. This happened around 11:30 this morning in an area near North Queen Street and Shorncliffe Road. Police say a piece of equipment somehow burst and a shard of metal then struck Appleby. Emergency crews rushed him to hospital, but he died on the way there. The show's production will be shut down for 2 days, and the province's labor ministry is investigating. Now, in a statement to CBC, Warner Brothers says, "We are heartbroken and devastated by the passing of our treasured colleague, special effects coordinator Warren Appleby. Warren is beloved by all who worked with him during an impressive 25-year career in television and motion pictures. The executive producers, along with everyone in the Titans family, wish to express our deepest condolences and heartfelt love and support to Warren's family and friends at this most difficult time." Well, a huge organized crime bust to tell you about tonight. 9 people are facing charges after what York police say is the biggest operation they've seen. Police seizing $35 million in assets, including luxury cars, high-end homes, and of course, lots of cash. Investigators allege it's all connected to a notorious mafia family in Italy. Lorenda Redekop explains.
Police unveiled an impressive haul. All proceeds of crime, they say. Almost $1 million in cash, Rolex watches, bottles of alcohol worth thousands of dollars. They seized luxury vehicles, including 5 Ferraris, restrained homes. The total value, $35 million.
We have dismantled the financial structure of this organized crime operation, both here and in Italy. They
say 9 people charged here are part of a crime family. Among them, the alleged boss, Angelo Filiomeni, with connections to the 'Ndrangheta mafia in Italy. Italian police held a news conference at the same time. 12 people are arrested there, and a police official from Rome spoke here. Police say this organized crime ring ran illegal gambling houses, run out of cafes in Vaughan. This is one of the businesses that was raided by police. It's a cafe in front, and it's still open today. At the back, police allege that it was an illegal gaming operation going on. Police say the criminals would take advantage of people with gambling addictions, with loan sharks charging astronomical interest rates.
What follows that is the crime when it comes to time they can't pay. We have collections, the extortions, the shootings that we see a drive-by of homes and buildings.
Police say it's that type of violence that first sparked this investigation almost 2 years ago. They followed the money.
To take the fear out of a possible witness, we look for the evidence where we don't need a witness. And you do that by way of money laundering, forensic accounting, math. Math breaks this down.
The CRA was also involved. Money laundering and tax evasion are among the charges.
If someone is involved in illegal activities, they have to report their illegal gain to CRA. Al Capone once said that they can collect taxes on illegal gain. Well, he was wrong. CRA will collect and will go after people involved in tax evasion.
Police say this case isn't over. They ran wiretaps for almost a year, so they're still going through all the evidence. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Aurora.
The Toronto Police Homicide Unit is investigating after a 36-year-old woman died in the Bloor and Dovercourt area.
We believe that her injuries may be as a result of an assault that occurred. So homicide's taken over this investigation, and we're in the process of investigating trying to determine how she sustained her injuries.
Paramedics initially got a medical call just before 1 o'clock this morning. They rushed the woman to hospital, but she later died. Detectives say they are looking for someone in particular they describe as a person of interest and say there's no concern for public safety. Well, there are calls for answers coming from multiple places tonight over why a man deemed a threat to society was able to walk away from Cam H earlier this month and fly out of the country. Jibin Kong stabbed and killed a man 5 years ago. The courts found him not criminally responsible. Premier Ford did not hold back when he called into a radio station News Talk 1010 this morning.
Well, I'm disgusted with it. It's unbelievable. They say this guy's low risk, and he chopped up his roommate with a meat cleaver. Like, what are people thinking? You know, between the TPS, the Ontario Review Board, and KMH, someone's going to be answering, because you can't, if they're calling this low risk, what is high risk?
And Mayor Tory also raising questions about what happened today, and many are looking to Chief Saunders for answers. Toronto police are still trying to find Jibin Kong. Plus, the force is trying to find out why it took 11 days to alert the public after he went missing. Our Angelina King has that part of the story.
There definitely were some gaps. I want to find out what those gaps are, and I'll remedy those gaps to the best of our ability.
Cam H reported him missing on July 3rd after he didn't return from his unsupervised day pass. Nearly 2 weeks into the investigation, police learned Kong boarded an international flight that day, but it took them 11 days to alert the public.
But there will be a full investigation to figure out how he got to where he got to and if anyone was involved in that process.
Toronto police are working with international law enforcement and have issued a Canada-wide warrant for Kong. It's unclear where he is, but the Ontario Review Board documents from last summer give us a hint. Mr. Kong has not demonstrated motivation or desire to live in the community, nor to openly participate in treatment. His request is that he would like to return to China to live with his mother. It also says at this point there is no doubt that Mr. Kong continues to present a significant threat to the safety of the public. However, Mr. Kong is showing a slow but steady positive trajectory. But Saunders says police were informed he was a low risk to public safety. In an interview with a Toronto radio station, Ontario Premier Doug Ford called the handling of the case ridiculous and says he wants answers.
These crazy people that want to go around chopping people up, they're out on the street.
The NDP says using that language stigmatizes those dealing with mental health issues.
It's not an approach that I think the general public want to see from their premier.
Cam H says that it's launched an internal review, is adding more security, and is reassessing patients' passes when it comes to unsupervised visits in the community. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
Nick Cernkovich is here with his first look at the forecast. And Nick, we're going to be dealing with this humidity day and night.
Yeah, that's the thing, Mike. There's no relief, not even through the nighttime, and that largely because of the humidity values into the 30s even through the overnight period. Now we've got heat warnings in effect right across southern Ontario with temperatures tomorrow into the mid-30s, humidex values into the mid-40s for some parts of southern Ontario. Today there's a look at some of our highs. The only reason we were down around 28 degrees in the city of Toronto was because of a bit of a breeze coming off of the water, but that's all changing for tomorrow as temperatures rise. We're also going to trigger off a few showers, even thunderstorms through tomorrow afternoon, so we're going to watch for that, and I'll time that out for you coming up in just a bit. But here's a peek at what you can expect over the next 24 hours. 34 degrees, feels like 43. Thunderstorms in the forecast. Full details in just a bit. Mike.
Okay, thanks, Nick.
You bet.
Some good news for commuters for a change. The city says its road crews finished a job ahead of schedule, and as a result, some lane restrictions on the DVP are set to end early. 2 median lanes on the DVP northbound and southbound were supposed to remain closed from Don Mills Road to Lawrence until mid-August. Well, now, with some preliminary work on Spanbridge Road and Windford Drive being done early, those restrictions could be lifted as soon as tomorrow morning. It's not all smooth sailing, though. Lane restrictions will still remain in place at the Don Mills Bridge and Lawrence Avenue East Bridge as crews continue their work there. Well, friends and family gathered tonight to remember Somali-Canadian journalist Hoden Nalea. She died last week after an attack on her hotel in Somalia. Nalea is known for her work highlighting the triumphs of the Somali community. Taylor Simmons has more.
Hundreds wait to pay their respects to Hodin Nalea tonight. Many say even though the 43-year-old lost her life too soon, her legacy won't be forgotten.
Words cannot express how I feel, but what I can tell you today is not about the tragedy. It's really about celebrating her work, her achievements.
A packed room did just that, watching videos made by the Somali-Canadian journalist.
You are watching Integration TV on YouTube.
Nalea started her own television program in 2014 to reconnect with her Somali roots and to highlight the positive stories coming out of the country, something she thought was missing in the mainstream media.
It's a beautiful country. I mean, the nature in that country is just amazing, and I think it's just because of the conflict, people have forgotten that nation.
It was her passion. You know, one day she loved her people so much, and she wanted to know more.
Nalea and her husband died after a bombing at their hotel in Somalia. It's clear from tonight's turnout, though, her storytelling has had a huge impact.
I think what I'm hoping they'll take away is Hodin would want not to remember how she died, but the work and the beauty that she has all shown us and how she touched us.
To many here, Nalea isn't just a relative or a friend, she's an inspiration.
You can't talk about Hodin without talking about how many people she touched all over the world. I really miss her, and she meant a lot to me. And I know how she died was not the best, but I want her to be remembered as the best because she was an amazing person, and I hope no one forgets that.
Those close to her hope to continue her YouTube channel, keeping her memory alive through the work she loved. Taylor Simmons, CBC News, Toronto.
Toronto has a reputation for being a relatively clean city. Now we're even putting trash cans in the lake. We'll tell you why and just how well they're working when we come back. Well, there are plenty of trash cans on the streets of Toronto, and now there are even garbage cans in the Toronto Harbour, actually in the water. Ports Toronto is using 3 floating bins to help rid the water of plastic waste. As Natalie Nanowski shows us, they're capable of collecting 4 kilos of trash a day.
Take a look at any body of water, and there's often trash, especially plastic, floating on the surface.
Until recently, the only way to get these gross floaters out of the water was with a net. And it's not exactly that easy. But now, a new innovation takes all the manual labor out of it.
That's the C-bin.
cleans up our garbage. It basically just sits there in the water with a pump that pumps about 2,500 liters per minute, pushing downwards, and the pump sort of just slowly pulls garbage towards it and traps it.
Let's take out the bin and see what's in there.
Alrighty. All right, little bits of garbage that you would normally find in the water floating.
That's pretty huge and impressive.
But smaller stuff like bottle caps and things like that.
Right, those are harder to catch.
And then if you look closely, you actually might see some of the smaller plastics that are in there.
Oh wow, that's a tiny piece of plastic.
The sea bin can trap pieces as small as 2 millimeters. It was invented by 2 Australian surfers who got fed up seeing garbage every time they went into the ocean. They made a prototype and found a manufacturer in Europe.
So they gave us the idea and we basically worked on it to make it fit for the marinas. So we really improved it to make it collect as much trash as possible and to make it last as long as possible once it's installed.
It's made entirely out of recycled material. There's even a sponge inside that sucks up oil and gas. In total, the sea bin can pick up nearly 4 kilograms of trash a day.
So far, in 1 year and 3 months, we have sold about 720 sea bins in the world, and about 110 tons of trash have been collected.
The Outer Harbour Marina is part of a pilot project. It's one of the first marinas in Canada to get the bins. If all goes well, they could start popping up in marinas all over the city. Natalie Nanowski, CBC News, Toronto.
Great idea. Well, Toronto will soon know what it felt like to live in Edmonton in 1988. We're about to lose our Wayne Gretzky. We'll tell you what's happening to the iconic sports bar after the break.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Next year will mark the end of an era for one of Toronto's most iconic sports bars. After more than a quarter of a century just north of the Dome at 99 Blue Jays Way, Wayne Gretzky's restaurant is going to be torn down and replaced by, what else? A new condo building. Greg Ross looks at the legacy the restaurant will leave behind.
Yeah, it's been 26 great years, and we've got a lot of great memories here.
Thomas Bitove is part of the ownership group for Wayne Gretzky's. He says a lot has changed since the bar first opened its doors.
In 1993, when we opened, there were 1,400 parking spots on the ground. There's less than 100 left. All have been replaced by condos and developments and hotels.
And next year, the same will happen here. Surprising news to regulars.
That's terrible. I think they should. That's really sad.
I've always come here whenever going to a hockey game or going down to the Jays games, always stopped in here.
The staff also recently found out the property had been sold, and now the future of their jobs is uncertain. Bo Cruel has worked behind the bar at Gretzky's for more than 20 years.
So it's going to be a very difficult transition, I'm not going to lie.
Cruel says, regardless of what happens, he'll always have the memories, like working the night Canada won hockey gold in the 2010 Olympics.
Not only could he not get into the building, but people were standing on tables. It was electric in here. And then when they scored the goal, I've never seen...
Golden goal by Crosby.
I've never seen a building erupt like that. It was incredible to be a part of.
Cruel says during the Raptors' recent championship run, Oasis, Gretzky's rooftop patio, was also packed for every game. Feel like you're a part of those moments?
Oh, 100%.
It's not just the moments, it's also the people. Wayne and his father Walter Gretzky are regulars, and they often bring the stars, like the night they hosted a Hall of Fame induction party for Chris Chelios.
We had Michael Jordan, we had John McEnroe, we had Jerry Bruckheimer, we had Cuba Gooding Jr., Cindy Crawford. I mean, we had all of Hollywood here because they're all friends of Chris Chelios.
Speaking of stars, a place known for turning them out also shares space in the building. Second City has been there for 15 years. They're now looking for a new home.
I'm really proactive about this. We're going to use this as an opportunity to try and grow our business in Toronto and move into, hopefully a bigger location with more stages.
While Second City will live on, the future of Gretzky's is still up in the air. Bitove says they are looking at options to relocate, possibly near the Scotiabank Arena.
We're looking for alternate locations, so we're not saying it's over yet totally. We're going to see how that plays out.
In the meantime, both Gretzky's and Second City will continue operating here until sometime next year. Neither has set an official closing date, but we're told that they have until November 2020 to be out of this building. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
The Argonauts facing the Stampeders in Calgary tonight. Toronto still looking for a win this season. They are down in the second quarter, but get a big break with just a couple minutes left. Calgary on the 7-yard line. Alden Darby intercepts the ball, and Toronto is able to capitalize on that turnover. Everyone, it seems, at times doing their part to move the ball down the field with less than a minute to play in the half. The timer actually runs out, and McLeod Bethel Thompson finds Armani Edwards in the end zone. That puts Toronto within 2. Right now, they've fallen behind, though. In the third quarter, the score is 26-16 for Calgary. And the Blue Jays wrapping up their 4-game series at Fenway Park with an afternoon game. Blue Jays starter Thomas Panon was also cruising along until the bottom of the 5th when 2 aboard, Rafael Devers sends the ball over the wall and right. Mookie Betts would then also get a solo shot in the 7th. Boston holds the Jays to just 2 hits as they win this game 5-0 in a shutout. Nick is back with his extended forecast. We've got to talk about how hot it is going to feel tomorrow.
Yeah, really hot, Mike. 34 degrees, and it's the humidity as well that's going to play into this. Humidex values in some places in southern Ontario as much as about 45. For the GTA, we're looking at a Humidex tomorrow of 43. Heat warnings in effect right across the board there, and I want to sort of talk to you about why this is happening. We've got a big high-pressure system that's in place down across the southern United States, and winds rotate clockwise around this. So what we're actually doing is we're driving in this heat and humidity from the south, and they run sort of parallel to these lines here, lines of equal barometric pressure. As I push forward through the next 24 hours, you'll notice not much changes in the pattern. We get that southwesterly flow, so temperatures are into the mid-30s tomorrow, and in fact, same story for Saturday. It's not not until Sunday where a cold front comes through and the pattern kind of breaks down a little bit, and that's when we expect to see a bit in the way of relief. Now with this, we've got the fuel for thunderstorms. So tonight, expect to see some showers and thunderstorms across the GTA, but mostly sort of to the east and down to the southwest. Some of these will be pretty intense though. By tomorrow morning, could be a bit of a wet start for some of you tomorrow, and this just because of these late overnight, early morning thunder showers. We'll get some sunny breaks there tomorrow, and then through the afternoon with that heat and humidity, we'll develop some showers likely around the 401 area, so just north of the lake and parallel to it. And then this rolls through, and I think we could see some good showers and thunderstorms in some places, mostly southwest of the Golden Horseshoe, but wouldn't rule it out in Toronto as well. And some of these could be pretty heavy downpours as well. Same story for Saturday with those showers, and then it's not until Sunday where we get a little bit of relief in the forecast with the temperatures. Forecast-wise for tonight down southwestern Ontario, 25 degrees, humidex of 35, tomorrow 35, and showers and thunderstorms as well. Same story for the Golden Horseshoe tonight through the late overnight period. Temperatures 23 degrees, humidex values again up to 43 by tomorrow afternoon. Now, in the long-range forecast, the relief starts to come on Sunday. We've got a few days of on and off showers, but by Monday, Tuesday, we lose the humidity and temperatures back down to about seasonal.
All right. Okay, thanks a lot, Nate.
You bet.
If you are catching a flight out of Billy Bishop Airport, you might have to wait at the gate with some unexpected guests. What's behind the invasion of tiny amphibians? After the break. You may have heard of the dog days of summer, but over at Billy Bishop Airport these days, it's the frog days. Actually, make it the toad days, to be exact. It's been like this for the past 2 days. The little amphibians invading the main terminal on the island. It's not quite a biblical plague yet. Employees say they enter the gates first thing in the morning and then scatter throughout the airport, perhaps hoping to hop onto a flight. A wildlife management team is trying to carefully remove and relocate the toads. An airport spokesperson says the lake's high water levels could be driving them to search out new places to live. And sure, not the free snacks at the terminal drawing them in. Billy Bishop got rid of those last year. Well, that's our newscast for tonight. Talia Ricci will be here tomorrow night at 11. I'll see you at 6 o'clock instead. Good night.